Let's get real for a second. If you've been house hunting in Nevada over the past few years, you know the market has been about as friendly as a cactus hug. Prices went absolutely bonkers during the pandemic, climbing faster than a tourist's credit card debt on the Vegas Strip. But here's the good news, and yes, there is good news. The housing market in several Nevada cities is finally pumping the brakes. Now, before you start doing cartwheels, or whatever the homebuyer equivalent of a victory dance is, let me be straight with you. We're not talking about a full-blown housing crash here. The sky isn't falling, and you're not going to find a 3-bedroom in Henderson for the price of a used Honda Civic. What we are seeing is a cooling market, where prices are either declining, flatlining, or at least not climbing at that eye-watering pace that made you want to give up and move into your parents' basement. Think of it less like a crash and more like your overheated car engine finally getting some coolant. The market's coming back to reality, inventory is rising, and buyers are starting to have actual negotiating power again. Whether you're a first-time buyer who's been priced out for years, an investor looking for opportunities, or just someone who enjoys watching real estate drama unfold, this is the data-backed guide you've been waiting for. Let's check out the top 10 Nevada cities where the graph isn't going up anymore. Number 10. Pahrump. Here the median home price is $405,000. The year-over-year change still shows the figure in positive, but it is slowing dramatically. Pahrump's housing market competitiveness scores just 45 out of 100, and the momentum has completely stalled compared to last year's double-digit gains. Pahrump has always been Nevada's quirky little cousin, close enough to Vegas to be convenient, far enough away to feel like you're living in an entirely different universe. For years, it was the go-to spot for people fleeing Vegas's high prices. But even this desert oasis isn't immune to the cooling trend sweeping across Nevada. The market here has gone from scorching hot to lukewarm at best. Inventory is piling up faster than tumbleweeds on a windy day, and homes are sitting on the market longer than they have in years. Sellers who were once fielding multiple offers over asking are now nervously checking their phones, wondering why nobody's biting. If you've been eyeing Pahrump as an affordable alternative to the Vegas metro area, this cooling might be your window. Just remember, you're trading city amenities for peace, quiet, and a whole lot of open space. Hope you like stars because you'll be seeing a lot of them. But here's where it gets interesting. While Pahrump is cooling, it's still holding relatively steady compared to what's happening in some of Nevada's larger markets. Stay tuned to see where things get really interesting. Number 9. Fernley. The median home value in Fernley is $384,807. The market status has stabilized after years of rapid growth. Fernley, positioned along Interstate 80, about 30 miles east of Reno, has been riding the wave of northern Nevada's growth for years. It became the poster child for drive till you qualify. That classic strategy where home buyers keep pushing farther from the city center until they find something they can actually afford. But the music has stopped, and Fernley is feeling it. The cost of living in Fernley is 9% cheaper than the national average, which used to be its main selling point. The problem? When gas prices spike and that 30-mile commute to Reno starts feeling more like a financial drain than a lifestyle choice, the appeal diminishes fast. The market here is pausing. Think of it like pressing the pause button on a movie right before the big plot twist. Prices have plateaued, and homes are taking noticeably longer to sell. The frenzy that saw buyers waiving inspections and offering $50,000 over asking? Yeah, that's ancient history now. Fernley's challenge is that it's caught in the middle. Too far to be truly convenient, too close to have that small-town charm that some buyers crave. It's the real estate equivalent of being the middle child, not quite one thing or the other. For buyers, this could be an opportunity. For sellers who bought at the peak expecting continued appreciation, it's going to be a waiting game. Speaking of waiting games, the The next city on our list is experiencing an even more dramatic scene. Number 8. Elko. The market in Elko is cooling significantly, which is mainly tied to mining industry volatility. Elko has always marched to the beat of its own drum, and that drum is usually made of precious metals. This northeastern Nevada city's housing market has historically moved in sync with the mining industry. When gold and silver prices are up, Elko's market is red hot. When commodity prices soften, so does real estate. Right now, we're in a softening phase. The mining industry is facing headwinds, and Elko's housing market is feeling every gust. You may not call it a crash, but it's definitely not the boom times of a few years ago when mining companies couldn't hire fast enough and housing was scarcer than a good poker hand. The unique challenge for Elko is its isolation. It's not a place where people randomly decide to move on a whim. You go to Elko for work, specifically mining work, or because you really, really love wide open spaces, cold winters, and being hours from any major city. When the primary economic driver slows down, there's not much of a backup plan to keep real estate prices propped up. Homes are sitting longer, sellers are getting more flexible on price, and the bidding wars of 2021 to 2022 are a distant memory. If you work in mining and want to be close to the action, this cooling period might be your chance to jump in without the competition you would have faced 2 years ago. But if you think Elko's situation is interesting, wait until you see what's happening in Nevada's capital city. Number 7. Carson City. The median home price in Carson is approximately $475,000. Though modest, the market is showing a certain decline after the pandemic-era surge. Nevada's state capital has always been a bit of an odd duck in the Nevada real estate landscape. It's got that government job stability, reasonable proximity to both Reno and Lake Tahoe, and a small-town vibe that appeals to people who want to escape the chaos of bigger cities. But even the capital isn't immune to the statewide cooling trend. The pandemic brought a flood of remote workers and Californians looking to escape the Golden State's tax burden. Carson City seemed perfect. Lower cost of living than Tahoe, prettier than Reno, and with enough government jobs to provide economic stability. Prices shot up accordingly. Fast forward to today, and the party's mellowing out. Remote work isn't quite the novelty it was, and many of those California transplants have either moved back or discovered that Carson City winters are, shall we say, character building. The result? A market that's cooled considerably from its peak. Inventory has increased, days on market have lengthened, and sellers are having to adjust their expectations. That house that would have sold in a weekend with multiple offers in 2022. Now it's sitting for weeks, maybe months, with price reductions becoming increasingly common. For buyers, Carson City represents an interesting opportunity. You get the stability of a government town, access to outdoor recreation, and a market that's finally giving buyers some breathing room. Just don't expect screaming deals. This is still Nevada after all. Carson City's cooling is significant, but it pales in comparison to what's happening in our next town. Number 6. Boulder City. Boulder, with a median home price of $340,000, is one of Nevada's unique markets that is experiencing correction. The city is that peculiar Nevada town that refuses to allow gambling. Yes, such a place exists in Nevada. It's historic, charming, and has always attracted a different kind of buyer: retirees, history buffs, and people who actually read the plaques at Hoover Dam. The pandemic saw Boulder City prices jump as people sought smaller, quieter alternatives to the Las Vegas sprawl. The town's proximity to Lake Mead and its small-town character made it appealing to remote workers and early retirees looking to escape the rat race. But here's the reality check. Boulder City's cost of living is 5% below Nevada's average, and the town has limited growth potential due to its unique zoning and geographic constraints. When the buying frenzy cooled, Boulder City cooled with it. The market here has returned to its traditional pace, slow and steady. Homes are taking longer to sell, and buyers have options again. The days of sight-unseen offers and waived contingencies are over. Sellers are learning that historic charm doesn't automatically translate to premium prices in a cooling market. For the right buyer, someone who appreciates Boulder City's unique character and doesn't mind being slightly removed from Vegas's action, this cooling presents genuine opportunities. And for sellers who bought at the peak, it's time to get realistic about pricing. If you think Boulder City's cooldown is interesting, the next few cities will really catch your attention. Number 5. Mesquite. The median home price in Mesquite is approximately $350,000. It shows significant cooling after the retirement boom. The city, perched right on the Nevada-Arizona border, has long been a haven for retirees and golfers. It's got sunshine, relatively affordable housing, compared to Vegas, and enough golf courses to keep Tiger Woods busy for a month. But even this sun-soaked retirement paradise isn't immune to market forces. The pandemic pushed Mesquite into overdrive. Retirees who had been dreaming of warm winters and low taxes suddenly had the flexibility to make the move. Prices climbed quickly, and inventory evaporated. Sellers got greedy, buyers got desperate, and the market reached levels that, in retrospect, were probably unsustainable. Now reality has set in. The retirement boom has slowed, interest rates have made borrowing more expensive, and many potential buyers are thinking twice about moving to a small town in the desert. Mesquite's market has cooled considerably and clearly come back down to earth. Inventory has increased noticeably, homes are sitting longer, and sellers are having to negotiate in ways they haven't had to in years. The list it and forget it strategy that worked in 2021 is a recipe for disappointment now. For retirees still dreaming of Nevada sunshine and golf courses, this cooling might be a blessing. You'll actually have time to do proper inspections, compare options, and negotiate. Imagine that. Mesquite's cooling is significant, but we're about to enter the top 4 cities where things get really sizzling. Number 4. Sparks. Sparks seems to be following the city of Reno closely. The trends are similar to Reno's -7.5% pattern. In fact, Sparks has always been Reno's slightly more affordable little sibling. It's got the same access to jobs, similar weather, and you're still close enough to Tahoe to pretend you're a ski bum on weekends. But when Big Brother Reno catches a cold, Sparks sneezes. And boy, is Reno sneezing right now. Reno's home values have dropped 7.5% over the past year, and Sparks has followed suit with similar declines. The market that seemed unstoppable during the pandemic, when everyone and their cousin was moving from California, has hit a significant rough patch. The problem is multifaceted. Interest rates have made borrowing expensive, the California exodus has slowed to a trickle, and many of the tech jobs that were supposed to transform northern Nevada haven't materialized at the pace everyone expected. Sparks, which bet heavily on continued growth, is now dealing with increased inventory and softer prices. Homes that would have sparked bidding wars 2 years ago are now sitting on the market with price reductions. Sellers who listed at ambitious prices are learning that buyers have options now, and also patience. For buyers, particularly first-timers who were priced out during the boom, this cooling is a potential game changer. You can actually take your time, do inspections, and negotiate repairs. That's a revolutionary concept, right? Sparks' decline mirrors Reno's, but our top 3 cities are experiencing even more dramatic shifts. Number 3. North Las Vegas. North Las Vegas is seeing sharp cooling after years of rapid appreciation. The median home price here is approximately $380,000. The city has been the poster child for Las Vegas Valley growth over the past decade. It transformed from the valley's rough-around-the-edges stepchild to a legitimate housing market with new developments, improving infrastructure, and families looking for affordability. But here's the thing about rapid growth. it can reverse just as quickly. North Las Vegas has gone from one of the hottest markets in Nevada to one of the coolest. And not in a good way. The combination of increased inventory, economic uncertainty, and the broader Las Vegas market cooling has hit North Las Vegas particularly hard. Developers who broke ground expecting continued demand are now sitting on more inventory than they'd like. Resale homes are competing with new construction that's offering incentives and upgrades. It's a buyer's market in ways we haven't seen since before the pandemic. The saving grace? North Las Vegas still offers relative affordability compared to Henderson or Summerlin. For families who need space and can't afford the premium addresses, North Las Vegas remains viable. But the days of guaranteed appreciation and quick sales? Those are in the rearview mirror. Sellers need to price aggressively and realistically. Buyers should take advantage of the leverage they now have. This cooling won't last forever, but it's a genuine window of opportunity. North Las Vegas's cooling is substantial, but the next two cities represent the epicenter of Nevada's housing market shift. Number 2. Henderson. Henderson, the crown jewel of the Las Vegas Valley suburbs, is experiencing something it hasn't seen in years: actual price declines. The year-over-year change is close to negative 8.0%. This city, known for its master-planned communities, excellent schools, and upscale feel, has always commanded a premium. But even premium markets aren't immune to corrections. Henderson's home values are down over the past year, which represents a significant shift from the double-digit appreciation rates of recent years. Henderson isn't turning into a ghost town, but it's a meaningful reset that's caught many sellers by surprise. The issue is that Henderson rode the pandemic wave hard. Prices climbed to levels that even by Southern Nevada standards seemed aggressive. Buyers were stretched, sellers were emboldened, and everyone assumed the good times would roll forever. Now, Henderson is dealing with increased inventory, longer days on market, and sellers who are having to confront the reality that their Zillow estimate might be optimistic. Homes in the $500,000 to $700,000 range, prime Henderson territory, are sitting longer than they have in years. For buyers who've been priced out of Henderson but love the area, this is your moment. The market has shifted from take it or leave it to let's negotiate. Sellers are more willing to consider offers, help with closing costs, or include upgrades. It's not a fire sale, but it's as close to buyer-friendly as Henderson has been in half a decade. So what's the key question? Is this a temporary cooling or the beginning of a longer-term trend? Well, that depends largely on what happens with interest rates and the broader economy. Henderson's 8% decline is significant, but there's one city cooling even faster. Want to know which one is that? At number 1 is Las Vegas, where the median home price is $485,000 approximately. The city that never sleeps is currently experiencing the fastest cooling housing market in the entire United States. Let that sink in for a moment. Of all the cities in America, Vegas is pumping the brakes hardest on real estate. Home sales are down 10.2% compared to the same period last year, while inventory has increased by 44.8%. Yes, you heard that right. Inventory has nearly increased by half. Suddenly, buyers have choices, and lots of them. So what happened? In short, everything happened at once. The pandemic-era buying frenzy pushed Vegas prices to record highs. Remote workers flooded in from California. Investors bought everything in sight. Prices climbed faster than a poker player's heartbeat with a royal flush. And then, the music stopped. Interest rates went up. The remote work gold rush slowed. California transplants realized that 115-degree summers aren't for everyone. Investors who bought multiple properties started dumping them. And the supply-demand dynamics shifted dramatically. Homes are now selling 15 days slower than before, which might not sound like much, but in real estate terms, that's an eternity. Properties are selling for 4% below list price on average. Do you remember when was the last time you heard about Vegas homes selling under asking? The Las Vegas market went from "you'll take what you can get" to "pretty please buy my house faster than a tourist can lose money at a slot machine." Sellers who were once fielding multiple offers over asking are now cutting prices, offering concessions, and nervously watching the days tick by. If not the prices have actually collapsed, the market is certainly cooling, correcting, and returning to something resembling normalcy after years of irrational exuberance. For sellers who bought before the pandemic, they're still sitting on substantial equity. For those who bought at the peak in 2022, it's less comfortable. For buyers, particularly first-timers and locals who were priced out, this is the window you've been waiting for. You can actually tour homes, conduct inspections, negotiate repairs, and not feel like you're in a bidding war with 3 other buyers and an investment fund. It's refreshing, honestly. The Las Vegas cooling is the canary in the coal mine for Nevada's broader market. What happens here tends to predict what happens elsewhere in the state. And right now, what's happening is a much-needed market correction that brings prices closer to what locals can actually afford. So what's driving this statewide cooling trend? Let's dig into the common factors. After touring these 10 cities, you've probably noticed some patterns. The Nevada housing market isn't cooling randomly or in isolation. There are specific, identifiable factors creating this statewide trend. Understanding these dynamics can help you make smarter decisions, whether you're buying, selling, or just watching from the sidelines. 1. Interest rate reality check. The era of sub-3% mortgages is over, potentially for a long time. When rates jumped from around 3% to 7% in the span of months, it fundamentally changed what buyers could afford. A house that was within reach at 3% became unaffordable at 7%. Simple math. Brutal consequences. 2. The California exodus has slowed. During the pandemic, Californians moved to Nevada in record numbers. Lower taxes, more space, no state income tax. It was a compelling pitch. But that wave has crested. Some Californians moved back after realizing Nevada wasn't their cup of tea. Others who were considering the move decided to stay put as California's own market cooled. 3rd inventory correction. For years, Nevada suffered from a severe housing shortage. There simply weren't enough homes to meet demand. But developers have been busy, and inventory has increased significantly across the state. Nevada has seen a 22.5% increase in inventory, with 23.3% of homes experiencing price drops. 4. Remote work reality. The pandemic made remote work mainstream, and many people assumed it was permanent. But in the last 2 years, we've seen significant return-to-office mandates across industries. Suddenly, living in Henderson while working in Los Angeles isn't quite as feasible when you need to be in the office 3 days a week. 5. Economic uncertainty. Between recession fears, inflation concerns, and general economic anxiety, people are being more cautious with major purchases. Housing, as the biggest purchase most people will ever make, is particularly sensitive to this uncertainty. 6th investor retreat. During the boom, investors, both large institutions and small-time landlords, bought aggressively in Nevada. But as rents have struggled to keep pace with purchase prices, and as property management has become more challenging, many investors are selling. This adds to inventory while removing a significant source of demand. 7. Affordability crisis. Reaching breaking point. Even before the cooling, Nevada's housing had become unaffordable for many locals. Teachers, nurses, service workers, the backbone of Nevada's economy, were priced out of home ownership. Markets eventually correct when prices disconnect too far from local incomes. What we're seeing is that correction playing out in real time. So what's the bottom line? What does it suggest? The Nevada housing market is at an inflection point. Prices are cooling, inventory is rising, and buyers finally have some breathing room. This won't last forever. Markets always cycle back, but for now, it's creating genuine opportunities for those willing to act. So what's your move? Are you jumping into this cooling market or waiting to see what happens next? Either way, you're now armed with the data, insights, and context to make an informed decision. The Nevada housing market might be cooling, but for the right people at the right time, it's heating up with opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. And before we leave you, here's a question. Are you ready to explore Nevada homes? Are you planning to connect with a local real estate agent who understands these market dynamics? Well, the best deals don't last long, even in a cooling market.